All good? All right. All right. Yeah, everybody. One last time. We all good? Everybody good? Okay. All right. On December 7th, 2023, 4 officers were delivered the results of an internal hearing which concluded termination of 3 and suspension of 1. As I've stated before, I believe this is wrong and that fair and due process that is given to the employees within the merit system was violated. On the night of September 29th, 2023, an individual walked out of his residence holding a firearm in his hands and was met with the presence of law enforcement. After this event occurred, After this event occurred, an investigation was launched by the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, which is considered a criminal investigation, and then a couple of days following, an internal investigation was launched by the IA department within the police department. As the mayor of our city said, the officers involved will have a hearing, as they are entitled to under Alabama and federal law, and I will make judgment following the hearing. Any suggestion that I have made a decision is false. And today I have come here to call him out on that statement and say that that statement that he said was incorrect. As I stated in my email that was released, or leaked to the public, I stated in there that I believe that the officers had their that the officers had their due process. Sorry, I could not. There we go. Sorry. That the officers' due process had been violated and was not treated fairly, and that the investigation is being held prior to all evidence being turned into the police department. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency had said that they are still waiting on evidence at this time, and that they do not have everything, and that the forensics lab is still currently waiting to get some things back, and that they're still waiting on subpoenas to be released, subpoenas with evidence to be released to them so they can receive that. My question that I've had to the mayor is, how can you make an informed decision and a judgment on these officers on termination when all of the evidence is still not present at this time? The mayor has said that in his statement that the accusations that I had made against him are false, that no decision had been made prior to this. Obviously, that is inaccurate. 3 officers were terminated, 1 was suspended, which is exactly what I'd put out, which I believe is unfair. With that being said, myself and Mayor Bowling have had a great working relationship. I hope that we can continue to have a great working relationship with transparency and honesty amongst one another, as I believe that that's been carried out faithfully and honestly up until this point. Let me make this clear, as I want to say this. Unfortunately, some of the council members that I serve with, including our mayor, has disputed my word in the past, and I believe that some things that have been said is not fair. But as I conclude with my statement, I do want to say, at the end of this, that way it cannot be disputed, is that the fight is not over and has just begun. All right, second part statement. So, as someone who has lost a loved one recently, what the Perkins family and the children have gone through is unimaginable and especially difficult right now, even if the circumstances are the same. I've seen their point of view just have sorry, goodness gracious, I'm having to squinch my eyes, everybody, to look down and see. Just as I have seen their pain, just as you have seen that of many others in this situation. I respect our law enforcement community and support the law enforcement community, and hope that everybody in the public will continue to support the law enforcement in our community. The law enforcement in our community right now is under an immense amount of pressure by protesters and other individuals requesting their termination. They're spitting at them, assaulting them. They're doing these things to me as well, and as well as protesting outside of people's residences, including the mayor's house. In my personal opinion, this is unacceptable and not considered fair, as I'm sure that they would not want each one of us standing outside of their houses protesting them in the middle of the night, all the way up until 1 in the morning, to where officers have to be called to the neighborhood to disperse the individuals that are doing this. I request that protesters remain respectful and follow the law and exercise their right to protest in the most honest way possible, and that is doing it on public property, which everybody has the right to protest on. I ask that everybody remain calm, let the investigation continue, let the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency do what they need to do to conclude that their criminal investigation. But as I've stated before, I believe the mayor has hung these individuals prior to all the evidence being presented for their trial. Questions?
You said the fight is not over. Can you explain that? Can you elaborate on that?
So, as I had said, in my statement, the fight is not over. It has just begun. In this situation, the officers, in my opinion, were treated unfairly. And with that being said, the officers have the right to file an appeal once they receive the termination letters. The officer that was suspended also has the right to file an appeal if he believes that the mayor's judgment on his punishment is not correct or fair. With that being said, I've recommended that the officers file an appeal with the personnel board in hopes that the personnel board will overturn their termination so that they can continue to serve the citizens of the city of Decatur.
What evidence are you waiting to come forward before you have a firm stance that these officers were treated fairly in their determination hearing and subsequent firing?
All of it. Unfortunately, as I've said prior, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has stated that they are still waiting on evidence to be released to them at this time from the Forensics Department and other agencies that have processed or have doings within this investigation. They're still waiting on quite a bit of evidence themselves. So I believe that there's not enough evidence present at this time to make a fair judgment regarding that situation itself.
Did you invite any of the officers, the disciplined officers or former officers, to the press conference? And if so, why?
Say that one more time.
Did you invite any of the disciplined officers to attend this press conference? And if so, why?
So I did extend out an invitation to those that are involved in the situation, as I believe that they have a right to attend this if they choose to do so. And I want them to be able to tell their side of the story, which they believe is fair at this time, if they choose to do so. If they do not want to tell their side of the story at this time, they can wait, which I believe that all of them have retained legal counsel, which I would advise them to do, and their legal counsel will direct them from there.
Were you present for those determination hearings?
I was not present for those determination hearings, no, sir.
Are you willing to release the names officially of those folks?
I am not willing to release the names officially of the officers involved in this situation.
I mean, they are circulated. They have circulated publicly. Do
The
you know those officers? Are you familiar with them?
I am familiar with the officers involved in this situation, and those names have surfaced throughout social media. I'm not going to say that each one of the names are accurate in that situation, but some names have circulated throughout this situation. And there has also been pictures which are inaccurate pictures of individuals which they have claimed to be involved in this situation, which is not correct information. As I've stated before, there are rumors circulating throughout the city right now, which quite a bit of them are inaccurate. Some of them are accurate, but not all of them are accurate. And I'm hoping that individuals will begin to calm the rumors and wait for the evidence to be released to the public when everybody can make an informed decision.
How come the names ain't been released? Now, what making it so that the names, officer names can't be released?
That is a good question. So the officers have the right to file an appeal after their determination hearings because they were terminated. So if the officers' names are released, it could be a violation of their fair due process because they have not had the right to go in front of the personnel board to have an internal review through them to possibly have the termination overturned or the termination to continue to stay. Excuse me.
What about the tow truck driver and the insurance company that had Steve Perkins car financed? What about them? Is they gonna be investigated and brought to justice too?
That is completely up to the Decatur Police Department, and if it is not up to the police department, then it would be up to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. But I believe that the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is only conducting a criminal investigation into the officers. The Decatur Police Department, to my understanding, will continue the investigation of any other crimes thereof.
You supported these officers from the beginning. It's no secret to anybody in this town or in the city that you supported the officers involved.
That is correct. I do support the officers involved.
You received a lot of backlash for that.
Absolutely. So I've had quite a bit of sinuses. I have had quite a bit of officers reach out to me and state their concerns with the situation from other communities and other departments. But with that being said, I've also had quite a bit of individuals call me and say that they're supportive of the situation. Backlash being the topic here, unfortunately, I've had a tremendous amount of backlash from the public with my support of the officers involved. A lot of people have called me biased because my brother is a Morgan County deputy. I'm not biased in this situation, as I believe that everybody has got the right to fair due process. Everybody has the right to have their day in court, and I believe that their day in court has already been violated. It's been tainted. Too much information has been released. Too much information or rumors have been released to where individuals are going to have predetermined judgments before they walk in the door, just as I believe the mayor did.
Well, if you think too much information has been released, well, why don't y'all release y'all information? Why don't y'all release y'all body footage of the information? Then information wouldn't be going out like this. If y'all release y'all information and we could see the body camera or whatever, we don't see what's going on from what we see see body camera footage of?
So
why you all won't release y'all body
as
footage?
stated by the Decatur Police Department, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is in possession of all of the body camera footage. They are in possession of every bit of it. So it is completely up to them whether they release it or not the Decatur Police
Well,
Department.
I'm asking you. You ain't answering my question. I'm asking you why they don't release it. What's wrong with it?
I do not.
What's something that they don't want us to see?
I do not work for the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, so I do not represent them, and I cannot speak for them.
Well, do your boss is your boss is Ted Bowling? I mean Tad Bowling.
Mayor Bowling
is that your boss?
That is not my boss.
That's not your boss.
Mayor Bowling is the mayor of the city of Decatur. I represent the 4th District of the city of Decatur.
Okay, well, can he get the chief of police? Is he the chief of police boss?
Technically speaking, yes.
Okay, then why he don't get Ted Bowling to get him to release the footage of the police cameras?
As stated before, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is in possession of that footage.
Well,
Do you have a question?
Speak on your relationship with Chief Todd Pinion, and if you have a good relationship standing with Todd Pinion, have you discussed privately amongst the two of you his findings and how that may be related to the eventual ruling and termination for those?
So we do not speak on internal investigations, as I believe that would be a violation of fair due process by the police department. The police department has a job to carry out their duties, just as I have a job to carry out my duties. So no, we have not spoken regarding that matter itself. However, my relationship with Todd Pinion is very good. We have a very good, I would say, personal relationship. And we don't hang out outside of this place, but by golly, every time I come in here, we're able to sit down and have a nice conversation regarding anything that I need to talk about or any legal advice that I may need regarding a situation at my own home, maybe with my own grass. You know, the chief has been very good to me. He's been very honest with me, and I believe he's been very honest with the public. He is a good chief.
We ain't worried about the buddy stuff. We just worried about justice being done.
Well, sir, he asked my relationship with the chief of police, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir. You say that all the evidence hasn't gotten back yet.
That is correct.
Which I understand what you're saying, but is it possible that the evidence needed for termination was enough for termination when evidence such as forensics, there should be no forensic evidence for lack of following protocol. So if they didn't follow protocol, forensics don't really have anything to do with the protocol side of it. It's got more to do with the criminal side of it.
So that is actually a really good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So I do not believe that the mayor has enough evidence to terminate the officers involved. But that being said, this is the reason why. As I stated prior, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is in possession of the body camera footage. So my question would be, how did the mayor obtain that footage? Has he seen that footage? Is that what he's making his judgment based off of? Or why is he making this judgment? We haven't received that answer yet, and I'm waiting on that answer just as much as you are.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this came from Todd Pinion's recommendation. And when I last asked, after maybe a week or two or so after the shooting, he said he had seen some of the body camera footage, not all of it. Is his judgment alone not enough to determine that there is enough evidence that policy and procedure had been violated?
I would believe that the chief of police's job is to recommend, if that is what is requested upon him, then yes. I believe that his recommendation is enough to say whether or not policy has been violated. Whether or not termination is involved in that situation, I believe that there needs to be a substantial amount of evidence to prove that policies were violated. He may say that there is policies violated, but if he doesn't have the evidence to present to the mayor or the attorney representing the city of Decatur, which was hired outside the city of Decatur, my question would be, how does he have this evidence, or how did the attorney get the evidence if the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is still in possession of this?
Why would you? It seems as though you're fighting for the right for them to still be on the job for something that has resulted in the loss of life. And I think it speaks to the ability to do something wrong at your job and not be fired for it. And I think that's solely up to the chief's determination in his own right. And I think that there's not enough evidence of that is kind of, it seems to discredit his own judgment call.
So I'm not going to discredit the mayor's judgment on the situation. However, I will say this. I do believe that the mayor has not made, in my personal opinion, made a fair and informed decision on this matter. If the mayor does not have the evidence that is needed to present the case, then how is he going to make an informed decision on this? The mayor released letters to the officers involved in the situation 10 days prior to their hearing and said that this is the recommendation that was received by the attorney, Mr. Lockwood, out of Huntsville. And with that being said, my question would be, how do they have this evidence if the chief of police himself doesn't have this evidence? It's all been turned over to the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency.
Would you say a loss of life is not enough to say that someone did did something worth termination?
If there's no wrongdoing involved, no.
Even though the chief of police has said there was procedure violation that led to someone's death.
To my understanding, the policies that were supposedly violated were irrelevant to the shooting itself.
Again, Hunter, there's a loss of life here, right? A man lost his life by the hands of police, no one else, right? Bullets everywhere. We've all seen it. We've all seen screen footage. Is there body cam footage? There's been talk that there is no body cam footage.
To my understanding, there is body camera footage. I have not seen the body camera footage, but I do believe that there is body camera footage, as I have been told that the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is in possession of some body camera footage. I don't know how much there is, but I do believe that they are in possession of it.
Okay, so looking at the footage, look at everything that you've seen, right? Looking at all of it. We've seen the same video. A man lost his life. Is that man, Stephen Perkins, responsible for losing his own life? Because that's just what it sounds like.
So I do not believe that the video that has been shown to the public by Ring Camera is enough to make a judgment on that situation, as I believe that there is more to that situation than meets the eye.
So, again, officers pointing the gun from behind his house. From what we've seen, we've all seen the video. Everybody can describe it.
So you've seen a video from a few houses down.
It wasn't doctored.
Which is, to my understanding, it was not doctored. I don't know if it was doctored or not. I do not believe it was doctored from what I have seen. However, I do not believe it was doctored. But that, sorry, one second, sir. I do believe that in this situation that the officers involved in the situation need to have more evidence placed in more facts in front of them, I guess you could say. So, what's your question, sir?
Where do you get some more evidence from, besides the cane?
So, as I stated prior, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency still is waiting on evidence at this time. So, if they're still waiting on evidence, my question would be, how do we have enough evidence to terminate the officers? Or, as some people have requested, how do...
says that you're supposed to be there.
Well...
That was a civil offense.
Sir, I'm answering questions, that's it.
Okay, why you don't say that? Say
Sir,
that then.
sir, I'm answering...
Say what's civil and what's criminal.
So,
That's right.
so you have stated that you believe in rule of law, correct?
That is correct.
Do you know the amount of information that the Decatur Police Department has at this time, fully?
I cannot comment on that.
Okay, so what we've been being told at our local city council meetings is that the city council was not given any information.
Mm-hmm.
So have we been lied to by the city council, or does Hunter Pepper have some kind of agreement where he can see evidence? Because if you don't know the amount of evidence we have, how can you stand up and make an assumption that we don't have enough to make a termination?
Because the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has stated that they do not have all the evidence.
Yes, sir. And
So the evidence should be presented in any situation with all of it in front of them before a decision is made, no matter the outcome.
So are we waiting on forensics to study protocol?
So, to my understanding, we are waiting on more than just forensics, so I don't know exactly what we're waiting on, but the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency hasn't released that to the police department, to my understanding, either.
Yes, sir, and I understand your point, but if we're waiting on things like forensics to study protocol, how do we know that what we have in evidence isn't a smoking gun to show that protocol was broken, and whatever else we have on top of it will just add on? And if you believe in rule of law, if a citizen goes out here and gets in trouble, they get arrested, they have to bond out, and then they're told they have their day in court. Now, we've arrested protesters under the law of disorderly conduct. We all know how disorderly conduct works, is to get somebody out of an area, and then they can fight it in court. So if you believe in rule of law, with these officers having due process, which has not been broken because they still get to appeal to the board, if you believe in rule of law, why don't you believe in this? And then if they're innocent, like you think they are, or like you're assuming, then they will become innocent in the end. But right now, what is wrong with them being treated just like every other citizen of Decatur would be treated, except they're not in jail, they're just not at work?
So, and actually, that's a really good question. So the question you're answering is the charges of disorderly conduct is a misdemeanor, which has to be witnessed by a police officer before they can make an arrest on it. So a police officer has to witness them commit that crime at that time. And the situation involving Mr. Perkins, to my understanding, and not enough evidence has been presented at this time, or there is not enough evidence in this situation to be able to continue on with the investigation without it being presented to them.
Fair enough. And since you said that, are you going to be willing to have this same press conference to stand up for protesters that have been arrested on site for something that was not witnessed by a police officer, and your own police department even says the calls were enough to get an order for disperse, but you can't give an order to disperse if there's not anything illegal happening.
So if the police department is found to have any wrongdoing, then as I would suspect anybody else would do, is you would call them out on the wrongdoing, just like I would want any of you to do for calling me out on my wrongdoing. So yes, I will call out anybody for doing anything wrong. If there's any wrongdoing found, I will call them out. Absolutely.
Well, we
Will you be here? Will you be here at 3:30?
One question at a time, please.
Someone else for doing something wrong, so you're being a hypocrite. Let me call you out for what you're doing wrong. He is interrupting the integrity of an investigation.
So we're gonna go ahead and
bring the people on his side.
we're gonna go ahead and conclude the press conference.
He is trying to bring people
If
on his side.
anybody
for
has
his
any
movement
further
to
questions,
make
they
it
can
seem
feel
as
free to
if
step in front of us and
to make
ask
it
any
seem as
questions.
if
Does anybody else in the
Steve
press have any
Perkins
questions?
Was wrong. Steve Perkins was not wrong. He was
Can I
not
go ahead and ask your
protected.
question?
We are here to protect the
Ma'am.
Perkins family.
Ma'am.
Hunter Pepper is doing this is misconduct.
Ma'am, will you step
He
aside?
is interfering with the integrity
Ma'am.
of an investigation. This is a
Misconduct.
misconduct, obstruction. He should not be out
Ma'am.
here giving speculation if he does not have facts. Let Aaliyah do their job. Stop being their puppet. Stop being their mascot. Go back to work. Serve your district and this community. You stop speaking on the case. This is our city. We are fighting for justice for Steve Perkins. We are not tolerating disrespect.
Ma'am, if you'll step aside and let me
We are-
continue
no,
to
this
answer
is
any
public.
questions.
My taxes pay for this, their taxes, his. You can go up to the stairs back to your office and you can have a great day. This is my press
I would agree that my
conference now.
taxes pay for the
This is
same
still
thing.
press
I will not
conference.
argue with
This
it.
is
Do you have
the
another question, sir?
NAACP
Go ahead and
conference.
ask your question,
This
please.
is still conference. This is NWO conference. This is the Pastor
You-
Alliance
go ahead and
conference.
answer- go ahead and
This
ask
is
your
the
question, please.
community
So,
Conference.
if we don't have an Aaliyah, if Aaliyah doesn't have enough evidence to come forth and say something this way or the other way, how can you say that after the findings of the police chief, there isn't enough evidence? Clearly, he's seen enough that he can make a unbiased determination of what these officers have
So
done.
my question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
If
ahead.
if you guys, as city council members, haven't had any information presented to you all formally, how can you say that, again, that determination is not enough evidence based off of the man responsible for the entire police department?
So that is a good question. So to answer your question there, in this situation,
Whoa. Yeah. And then you
All right,
ask a
continue.
man a question.
I'm going to answer his question if you'll give me 2 seconds to answer his question. Would you like me to answer this man's
No,
question?
Because you're known for perpetrating a police officer. So that's why you got so
Mr.
many
Gordon,
police officers.
Mr. Gordon,
You
Mr.
was
Gordon.
pulling folks over in the-
Okay,
in the
so I'm
car.
going to answer your question. So with that being said, my question to your answer is, my question is the Alabama law enforcement agency has said that they do not have enough. Let me rephrase that. The Alabama law enforcement agency has said that they still have the evidence in their possession. So my question is, how does the mayor have that if the Alabama law enforcement agency has it? To my understanding, and I've been told by people within our police department, as in people that are high up within the department, that the Alabama law enforcement agency has this evidence. So if they have all the evidence, how does the mayor have it?
Why they tell you?
Where did
Why don't
they
tell
get-
nobody else?
Where did Aaliyah get the evidence from?
The evidence would be turned over from the police department or collected unseen. That would be my assumption.
So my question is, if it was turned over, at some point Decatur Police Department had the evidence, so how do we know they didn't look at it before it was
So
seen?
to my understanding, as soon as the incident occurred, the Alabama law enforcement agency was called into the situation.
No, they weren't called.
Which
in.
so
He
they
took it to
Were
him. He took it to him. They don't call in. He took it to him.
Were the body cameras taken off the officers on the scene?
that I don't know. I would believe so. I would think that the Alabama law enforcement agency would take them.
So my question to you is this: if you believe in rule of law, right now what would be happening is everything you're saying is based off speculation, and that would be thrown out in a court of law. So until we have all the facts, to be fair, until you have all the facts, what's the difference on you speaking on this than them firing?
So the individuals that I have received my information from are individuals that have the information at hand.
Yes, sir.
So I'm not going to comment on who those individuals were or who those individuals are, but I will say that the individuals that have presented the evidence or has showed or leaked the evidence to myself are individuals that have got it. Hold on. Okay.
You have leaked information.
I will not make a comment on that. So I'll tell you what. So I'm only going to take questions from the press. I'm not going to take any more questions.
Still valid. Can I keep mine in?
I will answer one more question from you, Mr. Johnson. That is the last question I'll
Don't
answer
you
from
work
you.
for a tow truck company?
So if,
Do I work for a tow truck
The
company?
same one that did same officer.
That's a good question. Did you say that I work for a tow truck company?
I didn't say that. It's speculation.
No. So I work in EMS. I work on an ambulance. I save lives for a living.
In Birmingham. But you also,
Yeah, Mr. Gordon, I'm not going to respond to any more of your
you
comments.
also work on a tow truck.
I do not work on a tow truck.
what you have brought to our attention is you have said multiple times, and also the city council has said, that information is not supposed to be leaked to anyone, and that's why y'all can't have the information. So if you have people inside the department leaking you information or telling you any information, those people inside the department have also broken protocol.
I have not guaranteed that anybody from the department is the ones who gave that information. I said that I believe that the sources that they came from are factual.
So let me ask this. First and foremost, you said earlier that you believe that the protocols that were violated have no relevancy to the shooting. How would you know that?
I'm not going to comment on how I have that information, but let me make something clear really quickly.
I have a follow-up question for you.
Follow-up
So,
question.
Considering that you won't comment on how you received that information, do you believe that it's unethical that you had this information, and that by holding this press conference, there is a conflict of interest between the people who are providing you that information that you trust to believe as true to violate everything that you're standing for right now?
I will not make a comment on that. But so let me make something clear here really quickly. I'm not going to answer any questions from the public, sir. I'm sorry. I'm gonna state something here. Let me make this really clear. So we're all here, right? We're all upset about the situation. This has turned our city upside down. Everybody is upset. Everybody's angry. Everybody wants answers. Am I right? I think everybody. Sir, I'm not going to take any comments from the public. So as I've said, the people want information. They want the evidence released to them. They want to see what happened. They want to know what happened. They want factual evidence, and that is coming. The Alabama law enforcement sir, I'm not. So I'm going to continue with my statement. But as I've said, the evidence will come very soon when the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency concludes their investigation. At this time, we need to stop making this about ourselves. Stop making it about the protesters. Stop making it about you. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about the police department. It is about everybody that is concerned or has heartbroken about this situation. But I tell you what, so as I was sitting at the meeting, as I was saying,
say his name, Steve Perkins. Say his name, Steve Perkins.
As I was sitting at the council meeting on Monday night, in front of me sat Miss Perkins' youngest daughter, and I believe Miss Perkins' oldest daughter.
And don't talk about them people, man. And you done told
The youngest daughter in that situation.
The
youngest daughter in that situation. Mr. Gordon, back up. I'm not going to tell you. Mr. Gordon, back up.
People name out no more.
This is public property.
So as I've said,
Have you said nothing?
on Monday night,
Nothing.
as I was sitting there considering the situation.
You coward.
So I'm going to let everybody sit up here, and they have the right to chant, and that's okay, which is what everybody's right to do. I'm glad that everybody's sitting up here stating their concerns, but I believe that the individuals that are standing here are making this about themselves. We're not making this about the people that we care about. We need to show care and love for the people that are hurt by this, the people that are upset by this.
Having press conferences about the investigation.
And you want to move the money. And you want to move the money.
That's
So-
right.
they're gonna.
You want to move the money.
That's right.
Really, man?
Do you want me to
That's
answer?
I don't want you to do nothing but get down. I
Do
want
you
you
want me
resign.
to answer their questions?
I want you to resign, baby.
That's right.
I have a question. I don't gotta take it from the public.
Dr. Owens?
Do you understand what ethics are?
I do understand what ethics are.
Do you believe you are following your office that you made the oath to in ethical
Yes, ma'am.
practices and principles?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you really believe that?
Yes, ma'am, and I have proof I have.
I would have to differ with you based on some things that were just said here and some previous things you said, and we will follow up. Now you can continue your. I just want you to know that I am going to say that on something else.
Thank you, Dr. Owens.
This is the same guy that said he'd take
So,
his truck.
I
and
tell you
run
what,
through the protest
Mr.
and
Gordon,
run.
Mr. Gordon is not being respectful to the rest of the public here today, and not being respectful to the rest of the media. If the media would like to step inside, I'll take some more questions, but we'll go into an area to where the rest of the public cannot attend in. Would you guys? I need to know. Would the press like to come in and have any other conversation?
Tampering.
That's right.
Archie, would you guys like to come in? Would you guys want to come in?
He's really trying to
Okay.
incite a riot.
All right, so what we'll do is, if you guys want to go ahead and come on in, then we'll go ahead and take some more inside. But we'll go into an area that the public will not be able to attend in. So, because my goal is to get your questions answered. My goal is to get your questions answered. Stand up here with me. It's okay. I hope so. That's good. So, as I said, at the end of the day, my goal is to get your
I'm
questions
like rock
answered.
and roll,
things like
baby.
that,
I'm here to
okay?
stay.
That's good, Rodney.
Yes, sir.
You know,
I ain't going.
Steve Perkins.
That's good. So that's good.
Justice
So
for
I'm
Steve
glad that
Perkins.
a lot of people have decided to attend. This is good.
Justice
But
for
you know,
Steve
we're
Perkins.
here to get questions answered. Just I'm sure the press has had quite a bit of questions. That's what I'm here for. You know, if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask them. We can go inside and I'll answer those questions. Okay. I wasn't able to state everything that I'd like to state it today, and I will reach out to each one of you at another time because there has been some interruptions. There is other information that I would like to release to each of you. There is other information I would like to release to each of you, but at this time I can no longer do that because we've had too much interruptions today. Okay, so if you guys would like anything further from me, let me know, and then we can go inside and address those. So does anybody from the press want to come inside and answer any more questions? You want? Okay. Do you have? Would you like? 19. Do you guys have any questions? If you have questions, we'll need to come inside. 31. Do you guys have any further questions? 48. Do you have any further questions? All right. Anybody that would like to answer, or anybody that has any more questions, feel free to come inside and we can answer some. So,
trying to get this trial moving.
So
I'm telling y'all.
I'm going to go ahead and step inside. But if you guys have any questions, I ask that you guys come inside. Okay. I'll be waiting
This
inside.
whole thing
Thank you
is
so much.
sabotage. He's trying to get this trial moved. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the trial moved. That's what he's trying to do. Listen to me, y'all. Huh? Well, what I'm saying is because he's being antagonizing.